so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting, especially since they're helping to fund all the cool projects we have in the works, such as the Positive Head app, the docuseries that I'm intending to begin shooting within the next year, and whatever else we dream up over here at Positive Headquarters to help spread consciousness across the planet. Now, if you're short on time or just super excited for today's topic and want to dive right in and skip these ads, feel free to fast forward about
4 minutes
to get right into today's show. That being said, I strongly encourage you to listen because the reason I'm passionate about my sponsors is because they've made a huge impact in my own life, which is why I've aligned with these organizations. And I firmly believe they can do the same for you too. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm extremely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and greatest version of themselves. And as of recording this, it's been about 4 months since I started taking the Purium Core 4 superfood products every day. And I can honestly and sincerely say my mind, body, and spirit have never felt more in alignment. If you've been looking for a way to easily get superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, I cannot recommend for you to start with the Purium 40-Day Ultimate Nutrition Plan, which includes a 10-day metabolic reset and cleanse enough. I spent personally months researching Purium before I jumped in, and now myself and over 150 other positive heads have started with the 40-Day Ultimate Nutrition Plan, and many of us have continued taking the Core 4 products on an ongoing basis daily ever since. I personally intend to take them for the rest of my life because they played a huge role transforming my vibrational state. If you decide to do it, it'll cost you just over $7 a day for the first 40 days and only about $5 a day after. But if you do it the way that I recommend you to do it, the smartest and most beneficial way, it won't cost you anything. I recommend you to just look at where you can reallocate money you are already spending on food each day. Essentially, you're just going to swap out the unhealthiest stuff you're in the habit of purchasing in exchange for Purium superfoods. And this way, it costs you nothing to participate in the transformation and cleanse. And it creates exponential benefit because now you've replaced something that lowers your vibration with something that is going to make you feel super high in the healthiest kind of way. Just take a few minutes, see where you can cut out $5 to $7 a day and commit to doing it. It's that simple. Also, for support, we'll be doing a big group transformation with other positive heads and soul family once each month for support. So I recommend, going right now, ordering your 40-day Ultimate Nutrition Plan bundle so that you have it when the next group transformation starts. Procrastination is not your friend. Order it now. You can thank me later, because I can assure you, you will not be sorry you've decided to send a message to the universe that you're ready to step up your vibrational game and reclaim your health sovereignty. Just head over to ishoppurium.com. That's spelled ISHOPPURIUM.com. Be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for either $50 off or a 25% discount, whichever is greater. And also, if you want to learn more details about the Purium products, why I'm so passionate about promoting them beforehand, you can go check out several videos I shot discussing these things in greater detail. You can also hear my interview with the very inspiring founder, David Sandoval. Much, much more over at positivehead.com/transformation. All right, all you positive heads, I have a wonderful, wonderful surprise today on this terrific Tuesday. Normally, I'm flying solo, but today I have a friend who stopped by to help steer the shift and the shift and the ship to share some of her wonderful story. A very, very inspiring individual. This is Amy Venner-Hamdi, who is the co-founder of Purium. You guys know I had Dave Sandoval on a while back, episode 691, and Amy agreed to stop by short notice and share a little bit of her story and help me to steer the ship today. So hello, Amy. Thank you for coming.
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me on today.
Yeah, this is going to be great. It's, normally I'm pretty predictable, and Wednesdays I have powwows, and this is sort of a, you were able to jump on, and I occasionally will have co-host on the other weekdays, and this is definitely a special co-host to have you. And, what I thought would be wonderful to do is just, we're suckers for good stories on this show. I definitely am. The listeners definitely am. And you have an amazing story, and an amazing story that's, so inspirational for everyone. You recently released a book, Women on the Rise. And so I just love to just spend a few minutes with you today and kind of get insight into what your journey has been, and how you've gotten on the path that you're on. So maybe you can just start sort of at the beginning and give us a background, where you were born and raised and that sort of thing. And then, how you ended up where you're at today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'm super excited to be here. And yeah, let's roll back the clocks, almost 25, 30 years. I'm 44 years old now, and
we're the same age.
Grew up in Texas, a small town in Texas. And what started to happen, we'll fast forward a little bit, is that I didn't really know anything about health and nutrition. We ate a very standard American diet. I was blessed to, always be thin as a child and as a teenager. But what started to happen as I got into my teenage years is I developed really severe acne on my skin, and nothing that my parents could do, nothing that I could do seemed to take that acne away, seemed to make that acne go away. And so not only did I have this kind of physical manifestation of acne on my skin, it started to affect my thought processes. It started to affect my self-esteem. It started to affect many things in my life. And, we all can remember back when we were teenagers. It's an awkward time anyway, right?
For sure.
And then when you feel like you're not fitting in, you feel like you're different, it adds so much more emotion. It adds, sadness and anxiety, and even leading to some depression as a teenager, because this acne was getting worse and worse and worse, wasn't getting any better. So I love to dance. I was an officer in my drill team. That's what we did in Texas, but this situation had gotten so severe, I ended up quitting. I quit my passion in high school, and I really began to kind of seclude myself, not wanting to have a lot of relationships with people because I just didn't feel great about it. So I quit the drill team, and my parents said, okay, well, if you're going to be home all the time now, you got to get a job. So I get this part-time job after school. And have you ever looked back on a moment in your life and you're like, wow, that path, taking left or right in that path, like really determined the course of the whole rest of your life?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking about this with someone the other evening, because we made a decision to sort of do something. We were at a crossroads about, what do we do? Do we go home now, or do we go do something else? And we decided to go do something else, and it led to all these other things. And it's like, wow, it's a totally different timeline. Had we decided to not just go home, who knows? The repercussions, sort of that butterfly effect, is really fascinating to consider.
Yeah, it's crazy, because I look back and I say, okay, I was accepted to the University of Texas. I was going to enroll in the business school down there. I had my dorm all set up. Everything was like set and ready to go. And for whatever reason, I gave all that up because I just was not feeling confident. I wasn't in my power in any way, shape, or form at that time in my life. So I take this job at a health food store. I met someone. I had a mentor, really for the first time, that began to teach me about alternative ways of looking at things and alternative ways of looking at food and supplements. And that was a really critical turning point in my life.
Yeah. Wow.
So I, she's helping me. She's telling me, cut out the sugar, and which is really hard because in Texas you eat a lot of meat, a lot of cheese, and a lot of sugar. That's what I was living on.
And bread.
I didn't know any better at the time. And so she's giving me some advice. And then one day she's like, hey, let's go to this trade show. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to meet new people. That's not what I really wanted to do. And she's like, let's go to this trade show. And I did. I went to this trade show and I met a person, and someone came up to me. Now, think about this. I'm 19 years old. Mm-hmm. I'm wearing makeup, like super thick, base super thick to cover my acne. I'm sure it was not covering it, but I was trying my best. And I'm standing there, and a man approaches me and says, I happen to notice you have a problem with your skin. So, can you imagine, what I was feeling?
You were probably just, horrified, wanting to crawl under the table, right?
Yes. I'm like, oh my gosh, get me out of here. Can we leave? You start feeling hot, and
right.
And so I was just like, wow. And, but he offered me some advice. He said that he made me feel horrible in the moment, or I felt horrible in the moment. I don't think that was his intention, but he offered me a solution. He said, I think I have something that can help you. And at this point, I was really desperate because I had done pharmaceuticals. I had done all these vitamins and minerals and herbs and things like that. And it had helped a little, but not a lot. And so I'm like, okay, well, my ears are open. I want to listen. And he said, I don't think you're going to like the way it tastes, but I really want you to drink this wheatgrass juice. I really want you to drink this product that was an ancient Egyptian variety of wheat, and it was combined with alfalfa, and it was a powder mix that you could just, take a teaspoon or two and mix in a glass of water and drink. And so I said, okay, well, I'll try it. I was pretty doubtful. I was pretty, cynical about the situation, but I was desperate and I was looking for help. And everything that he said actually began to come true. He said it's going to taste terrible when you
first thing is right. So far, so good.
But he explained why, and he said your body is so acidic that this product, this wheatgrass, this natural, substance is very alkaline, and so it's going to create a really bad taste. It could potentially create a really bad taste in your mouth, and that was true. And he said, once you do this a couple or 3 times a day for 2 or 3 days, that it's not going to taste so bad. So I'm like, okay, well, I wait the 2 or 3 days. I do it. And lo and behold, it doesn't taste so bad anymore. And then he said, in another week or so, you're actually going to start craving this. And that was true as well. Like I actually started craving it. And then a couple weeks later, some of the inflammation, some of the redness was starting to go away. I mean, the acne was still there, but it wasn't nearly as inflamed. A few more weeks after that, my skin really began to clear. And a few more weeks after that, not only did the physical aspect go away, but that dark cloud that was hanging over me, that feeling that I didn't want to be around people, I didn't want to pursue new relationships, that I really was quitting and closing the door on opportunities, that feeling began to dissipate. And I just had an awakening like I hadn't had in years or maybe ever at that point in my life.
Right. Wow. That's incredible. Did in your skin started clearing up is my guess?
Yes, my skin was clear. My skin, I didn't have this major inflamed acne, this cystic acne on my skin anymore. And nor did I have this feeling that I needed to be small and I needed to just stay in my house and stay at my job. And that's all I could do. And, it was so profound that at the time I said, I live in this small town in Texas and I love it. And I love my family here, but I need more. And I kind of picked up everything that I owned. I packed it in a U-Haul trailer and I moved out to California to join forces with the person who approached me with this to get this message out to the world, because I knew my parents would have done anything to help me to take away that pain that I was feeling. They took me to, dermatologists. They bought me creams and potions and cleaners and pharmaceuticals, and it wasn't happening. But what they didn't know is they didn't understand about nutrition. They didn't know the connection between like what you're putting in your body can have on how you look. How you feel, how you act, how you perform. They just had no idea. And so I decided at that point, I was dedicating my life to getting that message out to the world, because people needed to know, they needed to understand that relationship so they could make better decisions about what they were eating and what they were doing. Wow.
So you ended up actually partnering with this person and moving to California. Was this Dave, or is this prior to meeting Dave? Okay. No, I haven't heard this story before, so I'm like, okay, this is Dave Sandoval. And what a fascinating, so you moved to California and that partnership went all kinds of places, huh?
Yeah, that partnership went all kinds of places. Yes. So we went all over the country. We went all over the world. He had just started his company with this mission and with this vision of healing people with whole food nutrition and using green foods as the cornerstone of that, wheatgrass and barley and spirulina and anything that was a deep green color that had lots of chlorophyll. That was his mission. And I had personally experienced what happened to me. And then I began to see other people as we would go to these trade shows. We literally went town to town to town. I think we went, 45, different weekends, out of a year. We went town to town to town, educating, going to trade shows,
wow,
teaching about these foods. And I saw these stories and I saw people that their lives had changed too in different ways, from taking these green foods, from, making shifts in their diet. And it was just so absolutely incredible that the mission was, 100% on board. We had to get this out to the world. And, it's funny. So Dave and I, we ended up, having a business relationship. We ended up having a romantic relationship. We ended up, getting married and being together as a couple for 10 years. And then, if you've ever been in business with your spouse, that can kind of put a damper on things at times, with the ups and downs of the business. So ultimately, our marriage did not end up working out after being together for 10 years. But, or I should say, and this business, this mission that we're on was like the child we never had. And this mission is so important to us. This mission lives so deeply in our hearts that despite not working out in a relationship, we knew that this mission had to be carried forward. So even going through a divorce and trying to figure things out, we kept this intact because we love it so much. And like you said, we kind of laugh and joke and say, this is the child we never had.
Wow. I love that so much because I was actually just having this conversation a couple days ago with an amazing, beautiful soul who just came out of a relationship. And, what I always, when I get into that kind of conversation with someone, it's like, I think, as I said to her, one of the biggest misconceptions I think is out there in the world is that a relationship has to last forever in order to be successful. And, what's happening a lot out there, especially in sort of the conscious community, is this idea of, conscious uncoupling and people like gracefully, in this world of day and age of social media where you'll see people, make beautiful posts about, the relationship and things like that. So I applaud that. I mean, look at you're such a wonderful living example of what can happen when someone actually says, okay, we've come together for mutual growth. That opportunity has sort of run its course as far as in a romantic setting, but we are still love each other. We still have, this baby, as you put it, together, this company. And imagine if you had went, how different the world would be right now had you decided to sort of go the route that many others have gone, which is, it's over. I hate you. We're enemies now. We don't speak. I mean, I look at all the good that Purium is doing in the world, even in my own personal life and the people that it's affected through, me sort of partnering the podcast with Purium a few months back. And, it's the ripple of impact, the ROI on you deciding to sort of you and Dave being, conscious enough, aware enough, open-hearted enough to say, hey, this relationship is no longer, but, we're still in alignment on helping to heal the planet with Superfoods. And I just applaud you for that because the ripple of impact, it's dramatic. Obviously, Purium is doing so much good in the world. So thank you for navigating that the way that you did.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate that. And, and some people are just surprised. They're like, whoa, how can you work with your ex? And how does that work? And, and I've since moved on. I'm happily married, 2 children. We all, get together at events. We travel together for events and things like that. And it's just, people say, how do you do that? And say, well, it's just, you just open your heart and say
yes.
that you you cared about this person in a certain way, at one stage in your life, and that shifted. But like you said, I believe like you have to embrace the journey, and that where I am today, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be happily married with two beautiful children if I hadn't gone through that period of my life, that led me to California, that led me to, finding happiness today. And it also led me, professionally in my career and gave me a platform, a mission to believe in. We aligned our vision together of really helping people through whole food nutrition, even going so far as taking away unnecessary suffering. Like, we are truly committed to providing education, giving solutions to take away and alleviate unnecessary human suffering. That's the platform that we are on here with Purium. And that's what I wake up every morning with, that in my heart, that's what I am here to do today. And, also growing as a person. So, when I first started out, and if you can kind of think about this, roll it back to the teenager with acne. I'm also adopted, and I've always known I was adopted. Being adopted is awesome, and for any listeners out there that may be adopted, there's so many of us, as I connect with more friends that are adopted, there's a little bit of underlying feeling of abandonment. There's a little underlying feeling of rejection. And it seems to be a common thread among adoptees. So if you can think about, so here I am with that little bit of underlyingness on that level, and then the acne sets in, and so the self-esteem, starts working. And then, so I always I was so excited. I put myself out there with this education, but I didn't fully put myself out there. In a way, I hid behind Dave. Because Dave is such an amazing speaker, such an amazing presence. And so where I found my gift at the time, and for many years, is behind the scenes. And I'm a great organizer. I'm a great administrator. I'm great at learning something new, bringing it in, implementing it, executing it, getting things done. And so I had kind of told myself that was my role. Let him be the visionary. Let him be the face of the company, and I would support him. I would be the support system, and I would get things done behind the scenes. And then, one day that kind of went on for probably 15 years. I know that's a really long time, but
everything has its course, right? All in due time.
Right. And then I realized, as I met more people and I connected with more people, and, I got positive feedback on my story and such, that I really need to stop hiding behind Dave. I really need to own my own power. And I really need to get over my fear, get over those underlying fears, from early in childhood and teenage years and things like that. Like, put that aside and step out there. And whether everyone agrees with what you think, whether they do, whether they don't, whether you make a great presentation or maybe you fumble all your words and have a terrible presentation, but put yourself out there, because it's in your heart. You've got this passion, you've got this mission, and it doesn't matter what happens if you're doing it from a true place, a pure place. And that was a big shift for me about 5 years ago. And I remember literally trembling because I would know in my head I wanted the microphone. So I would ask for the microphone at events, and I would say, I want to share my story. And I literally would be trembling, couldn't hardly get the air out of my chest. And, it was tough, and I didn't do a very good job, but luckily, people are nice and people are forgiving. And then what people told me is, Amy, you're real. Like,
Right.
I'm scared to death to go share my story. But I see you doing it, and I see you doing it over and over again. And each time you do it, you get a little better. And now I realize that that's possible for me too. So that has been a shift. That's been a shift that I've been working on, I think probably for the last 5 years, is not hiding behind someone else's personality, even though my vision and my mission, I'd align with it completely, but not letting someone else front it all the time, saying that I've got to be in front too, because I can connect just as well as he can with people out there that are looking for this information.
Right. And in a different way, in your own unique way. And what a perfect setup for you to lean into your fear. And I mean, because Dave is a rock star. Like, he's so good. He's so good. And what a perfect setup for you to, have the scenario of, okay, he's out there. He's got this. I'm behind here. Oh, but I have this little thing inside of me that wants to step up too, but I'm nervous. And, in spite of those nerves, I love the idea that your path lies on the other side of your fears. So being brave enough to know, okay, I'm scared of this, which is exactly why I need to do it. And then as you do it, now my guess is you're 5 years having sort of confronted this fear, and now you have, instead of fear, forget everything and run, you faced everything and rise, right?
Yes.
And it led to you stepping out. I mean, I saw you speak at the convention, and you were so amazing and graceful, and and speaking of rising, you've even now written a book, Women on the Rise, which so I applaud you for stepping out and it's just such an inspiration. Like you said, now others can see, and now you get to share your story, and others, it's going to inspire others to do the same thing, who are scared to step out and get out of their comfort zone. Right.
Yes. And I think we need role models, and we need role models at all different levels, basically. And, as I watched Dave speak, all those years, and I thought, well, I can never be like that. Like you said, he's a rock star. He's a natural born presenter, or he's and I'm like, I'm not like that. I am not a natural born. I'm not natural born, but you can work at it. And like you said, you can connect with people on a different level, because I'm hoping that, as me being me and not being natural born and working into it, that I connect with another woman, I connect with another man that doesn't feel like they're a natural born rock star, because not every one of us, we all have it within us. I mean, that is something that I have learned in these past 5 years, that we actually all have it within us. We just don't know, or we just push it back because we're afraid. So everybody's got it. You just got to get out of your head and get more into your heart, and believe that people, that you will connect with someone, and that if you connect with just one person, that it's worth it, that all the anxiety, fear, pain, embarrassment that it may cause you, or you think it may cause, is worth it if you can impact just one person. And then you just keep practicing and practicing and modeling it for someone else. And it's like you're paying it forward. You're paying it forward, and you're showing what's possible, and hopefully giving a formula or giving some keys to unlock that greatness, unlock that rock star that is on the inside of every single one of us. So when we think we're not born with it, I actually believe that is a misnomer, that we all are born with it. We just have to figure out how to unlock it and let it come out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like, and I also think of Eleanor Roosevelt saying, do something every day that makes you uncomfortable.
Yes.
So, you have done that. And, and one of the things that Dave could never do that you are now doing, which is be this voice for women, and being the face. I mean, that's, it's a role that's meant for you to have stepped into. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you're doing that with, your book, Women on the Rise, and you've got the Million Mom movement. And I'd love to, if you could dive into all that stuff a little bit with us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So, I've been running the back end of the business for all these years. And I mean, it's kind of funny. And women, and this is the thing, and I talk about it in the book, is we collectively have come so far. And I don't want anyone to forget that. We have come so far and we have taken so much ground collectively as women. Mm-hmm. And there is so much more ground that needs to be taken. And by taking ground as women certainly does not mean that as we rise, that anyone else has to fall. Like that's not what this is about. It is about rising together, men and women, and having an equality where it really gender shouldn't even come into place. It's just person to person, human to human, connection to connection. So I do want to be clear about that. This certainly is not about women rising and pushing anyone else down. It's about rising together and how that the changes of that, take place. And so being this kind of like back end of the business and lots of people, giving the credit, sometimes, women are doing a lot of the work and maybe, the boss or maybe a man is getting some credit, and it can be kind of disheartening at times, and I mean, I've been there. I've been, sitting in a banking meeting, a high level meeting. And literally a male banker said to me, I think you need to have a man in this meeting. And I was just blown away. Like I was blown away. I didn't know what to say. I was in shock. But what I decided to do, and I mean, he was maybe a jerk for saying that. Maybe he didn't know any
obviously.
better. But when I really rolled it back, when the hurt went away from that, and I rolled it back, I was like, what is he trying to say? Like, what can I learn from this comment? It was that I didn't have a great enough grasp of presenting our financial statements. And so what I decided to do is just put myself to school with learning to read and present financial statements. And so I decided instead of like being angry at him for the way he presented it, look at what he maybe meant by it, or look at the positive, flip it around, make myself better. And so
the lump of coal is a diamond in disguise, right?
Exactly. So anyway, long story short, I believe that women need role models. And I never had a female entrepreneurial role model in my life. I was blessed that my mom stayed at home and took care of the house and took care of the family, but I didn't really have a female entrepreneurial role model. I didn't really have anyone that I could look to that's doing it all out there. And so I want to be that for other women. I want to call other women to come together and to be entrepreneurial and know that you can have your own business. You can be a loving wife. You can be a loving and involved mom. You can do it all. And if we, support each other, we can rise. And the more role models, like if we take the responsibility of becoming role models, our daughters won't face these same kind of challenges. And our sons that, so maybe some people are uneducated or uninformed or, not sure how to deal with women rising. But the more that our sons are seeing women rising and seeing women be in their power, that they won't have those kind of connotations. So I believe it's all about role modeling. I believe it's all about, keeping it positive, which I know that's what your show is all about, and looking for the good in everything. Even if you're hurt in the moment, don't live in the hurt. Move past the hurt and look at what was, maybe the underlying reason that came out.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so key. And it's something we circle all the time on the show, is understanding that it's always happening for you, not to you. Mm-hmm. And these characters, even though, yes, at a surface level, that guy was a jerk, but at a deeper level, he's playing the role of the jerk and there's a gift there, right? And you found the gift in it. And had you decided to just focus on, him being a jerk and what was wrong, and it would have stayed, and you just, embodied and hung on to the hurt from it. Well, then it stays a lump of coal, right?
Exactly.
And the way you handled it is such a beautiful example. And, of course, Purium, and the reason I decided to partner this podcast with Purium is, and I didn't do that lightly. I only have one other sort of sponsor that I've ever taken on in 3+ years. And that's another sponsor that I really am passionate about what they're putting out into the world. And it's, when I really did my due diligence before I did get involved, and seeing Dave cry, talking about healing the world with superfoods, and now hearing your story and really getting a chance to connect with you, it just is more affirmation that this is, what you're doing is so amazing. And and that's really why I was so excited about joining up and syncing up with Purium. Is I set the intention when I started out, my whole show is all about helping people with their mental health, their heart health. And, I really wanted to call in a partner that had that physical counterpart. And I've always been a big proponent of network marketing, knowing if it's done in an ethical way, it is a wonderful model. As, an entrepreneur myself who's had to Inc. 500 fastest growing private company, I started from a friend's couch.
Oh, wow.
And so I understand business. And so I knew going into it, okay, this is the way you do it. The high vibe products, the right people, the right energy, everything was just in alignment. So when it was introduced to me, I was like, yes, this is definitely something I want to support and be a part of. So, in the way that you've created, a context and a platform for women, I mean, I found it fascinating to learn, just a few months ago, that over 80% of women who make 6 figures or more in the U.S. Do so through network marketing business models like Purium.
Yes.
And that's just, wow. That's so incredibly fascinating statistic.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think it's amazing. And I think what holds women back sometimes of getting into business is the high barrier to entry. And that is what's beautiful about this network marketing, this business model, is that there really is no barrier to entry. You don't have to have letters behind your name. You don't have to have hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to get started with a really relatively low investment. I mean, you can be in the profit almost instantaneously, literally within weeks. Yep. And that's just unheard of in a brick and mortar kind of traditional business. I know,
for sure.
And and so one thing that is also, I'm just so proud of what we're doing here at Purium, is we have an umbrella kind of project called the Million Mom Movement. And it's a movement, not a project. It's more than a project. It's a movement. And it is a coming together of women. And you don't have to be a mom. You don't even have to be a woman. So it's men and women, because every single one of us has a mother.
Or has some maternal energy. I know for me, having raised my son pretty much alone, it's like I really had to tap into a lot of maternal energy, and kind of play that role oftentimes.
Exactly. So this is a place for moms and dads and aunts and uncles and grandparents, for anyone to come together as a collective where we're focusing on education. We're elevating the consciousness that we make about food choices. And so I get really passionate about this, because I remember, and I'm sure you can relate to, when your child is born and you know that you are the sole protector of this being. This human being is 100% relying on you. They can't fend for themselves at this point. And I know that as my kids get older, I still feel that way, even though they're beginning to take care of themselves now, that you do anything to protect your child. You search out the best car seat, you background check the babysitter, all these different things. And when it comes to food, we drive through, we grab things that are pretty colors. We do what's easy and convenient and has really awesome advertising behind it, because that's what our children see and they're asking for it. And so this platform is just to elevate the consciousness of the decisions we make around food, to read labels and to reject things that contain GMOs, reject things that contain artificial dyes and artificial flavors and manufacturing and food additives, because our children don't need that in their diet. Our children need whole food nutrition, chemical-free, organic, non-GMO nutrition in their diet to thrive, because it's a platform, and I'll say it over and over and over. I don't believe that we as a species were put on this earth to just survive through life. I know we were put here to thrive. I know that we're put here to thrive, but we must give our bodies the right raw material in the foods that we eat in order to thrive. And that's kind of in a nutshell what the Million Mom movement is. It's a collective where we can support each other on that journey of learning about these things so we can feed ourselves to be the best caregivers we can be and to take care of our families in the best way that we can.
Oh, I love that. And it's so true what you were talking about earlier with, the wheatgrass story, where you started going from, this is nasty, to actually, this is good, because you basically, your body, you retrain your body, you change the bacteria in your gut, and that you're craving that sugar or those bad things because your gut bacteria is that's what it's feeding on. Well, if you change it up to where it's good bacteria, guess what it's telling you to get put into your system? It's, it's craving that nutrition. I can think of walking into my local health food store years ago and it like turning my stomach, the smell. Now I walk into it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it smells so good in here, And so it's like, it's that change. I mean, even just, the thing for me that's been so great about, Purium products is that they're so easy to get all this nutrition into my system. And as someone who is, an entrepreneur has multiple projects going and this podcast and juggling a lot of things, it's made it so easy for me to get high vibe, organic, food that has been, dehydrated without heat. So all the nutritional value is there into my system. And I literally crave it. I mean, every day, instead of reaching for that energy drink at 2:00 or a cup of coffee, I go and make, organic spectrum greens with lemon and lime juice in it, and they can't beat this. And I mix those together, and it's like so delicious to me. And I'm getting, all this nutritional value. And I'm craving that over the energy drink or the coffee now. And it's just a matter of retraining what it is that that you're desiring. I mean, literally your body will shift, right?
Oh, you are so spot on with that. Absolutely. And that is what the program we have, the 40-day nutrition packs, the 10-day transformations that we have. It's all about kind of resetting the way we think about food, resetting what we're craving, and really taking a break. If you commit to one of these programs, you're going to have major shifts in the way you think about food and the way that you crave food and the things that you crave. Like a funny story, I'll never forget it. There was a family that they did a 10-day transformation, and the husband said, I love to go to Costco. If my wife sent me to Costco, that was like the best day of the week, because every time I went to Costco, I got a piece of pizza in the line outside. And he's like, I did a transformation. I finished my transformation. And she said, can you go to Costco? And I was like, yes. So he's like, I go, and he's like, it wasn't even smelling that good. You know how the pizza kind of smells everywhere everywhere. And he's like, it wasn't even smelling that good, but old habits. I got in the line. I bought my piece of pizza. He's like, I took 3 bites. I felt sick. I couldn't do it. It didn't do it for me like it used to do it. And it's because things change. Your body change, your taste buds change, you know, the way your body reacts to like the grease and the chemicals and the food additives. It changes after you start putting this pure quality nutrition into your body. And, you know, I can't recommend enough that if you are someone that is feeling low energy, if you are someone that is just doesn't feel like their diet, that they're getting enough fruits and vegetables and core nutrients into their diet, try this 40-day program. It's 30 days worth of kind of baseline nutrition. And then you can do, if you choose to, a 10-day immersion. Like I call it immersion therapy. We have classes here in California, or we have schools that are like Spanish immersion schools where, you know, you take math in Spanish, you take history in Spanish, you take every subject in this foreign language. And I said, think of the 10-day portion as immersion into superfoods. So your body can adapt and learn that much faster. So that's what the 10-day portion of a 40-day program is. And then you've got 30 days worth of just basic nutrition. If you want to go slow and steady, like you're taking your Spanish class or your French class, you know, 1 hour a day, you know, that's the baseline nutrition. If you want to go to Spanish immersion school, if you want to go to language immersion school, that is what the 10-day portion is like.
Right. That's a great way to put it. And, you know, I dived in initially months back, and so did a bunch of other listeners with the 40-day ultimate nutrition plan, which has the 10-day immersion and another 30 days of just the sort of the baseline. And I've continued every day since with those core 4 products. So, you know, and another thing that I wanted to speak to, the guy with the pizza, it makes me think of my brother-in-law. He was one I got to do this as well. And I was actually kind of shocked. I got him and my sister convinced to take this with me. I bought them all the stuff so they couldn't say no and sent it to them. And I've actually done a lot of that, like gifting Purium to people, because it's been so profound in my own life, and I want to share it with the people that I love. And so I did that with them, and I just saw him last week, and he was saying, you know, I haven't stayed steadfast since, but he's like, it changed for me. And he had a really unhealthy diet, like McDonald's every day kind of guy. And he's like, I can't eat dairy anymore. It completely changed that for me. So it makes me like sick now. It just like, I can't, I'm turned off to it. And I thought that was really interesting, because if this is a guy who, like I said, literally is getting fast food every single day, and he hasn't stayed as steadfast. And that's one of the things I think with people, you know, that I recommend, and when I continue to talk about it, is how important it is to kind of just stick with it. With the core 4 products, I no matter what, even if I have a day where maybe I'm not as healthy as I should have been, at least I have that baseline nutrition that got into my system each and every day, and in a very simple fashion, without me having to, like, you know, cook up some, you know, super healthy meal that takes, you know, 2 hours out of my very busy day. It's like, oh, these, you know, power shakes or the Spectrum green drinks or the beets or whatever. It's like super simple and fast to get into my system. And that's the thing that has really been, allowed me to stay steadfast because of the simplicity of it.
Exactly. And I love that word, steadfast, and consistent. Like, consistency is key. And making a positive choice in your diet on a daily basis, like giving your body that fuel and those nutrients on a daily basis, is just so key to optimal health and well-being. So, like, how many of us know, like, people that are like, and I've even been one myself, like, I'm going on a juice kick. I just bought a juicer. I'm going to the farmer's market. And, you know, how long does that last? It usually, unfortunately, only lasts a week or two, or maybe a month. And then it's like too much work. And then we're not consistent. So the beautiful, beautiful thing, besides it being organic and non-GMO and, you know, a living food in and of itself, is that it's easy and it's convenient. And it's really affordable when you think about the other options, what we're spending at the coffee shop and what we're spending at fast food. It really is affordable that you can have those nutrients on a daily basis. And that to me is super key.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, for any of you who are interested in learning more, of course, I talk about it at the top of each show. So, you can go to positivehead.com/transformation. And there's more details going into sort of the nutrition. And you can, the code positivehead will give you a discount, $50 off or 25%, whichever is greater. And definitely check that out if you're interested in learning more about it. But other than that, Amy, I really appreciate. I know we're getting down to it time-wise. You have another meeting to jump to, but this has been so inspiring, and I'm so glad that we were able to kind of put this together so quickly and have you come on and share a little bit of your inspiring story, because, you are definitely a woman on the rise, and I know that what you and Dave are up to in the world, and all of us that are sort of joining in, it's just the beginning. And I applaud all the work that you're doing in the world to bring health and wellness.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me. I super enjoyed it this morning. And just feel very honored that you invited me on. So thanks so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you as always for tuning in. This has been quite the pleasure today, quite the special, out of the ordinary, terrific Tuesday. I hope you continue to have a magical day wherever you are. Until next time, journey well. Love you all. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.